Welcome to the Redefining Beauty Wednesday conversations. My name is Kamo, and this is the Redefining Beauty movement. My guest tonight is someone who is a media strategist. She helps companies, individuals, and organizations with brand identities. She's a lovely personality. She's a contributor to many publications and media platforms. She consults as well. She is someone that I've met recently, but have totally fallen in love with. I cannot wait to have this conversation because I think her life story and her journey in the marketing and media spaces is a very colorful one, and we can learn quite a lot from her. I'm just going to be waiting for her as other people plug in. Good evening and welcome to the Redefining Beauty Wednesday conversations. Thank you for joining us. I'm just gonna give it a few seconds while I wait for the request from my guest to come through. My usual programming works such that I dedicate a song to my guest, and I play some music, and we can listen to that whilst we wait. But Instagram has changed things such that I am not able to play music anymore, because the minute I play the music, it cuts off the live session, and I must restart the conversation. So in the meantime, I will just maybe sing. I haven't done that in a while, and I do like singing. I did see Amantle is on the line. I'm just waiting for her request to come through. Good evening, everybody. Inkanyezi isamile emkhathini nelanga lisaphume mpumalanga nezingane zilala zidlile kushukuthi umdalo sasibhekile kushukuthi umdalo sasibhekile. I think yeah, there we go. Hello, honey.
Hi, how special am I that you get to sing for me?
Born. Too much. Like I got massive love for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. My guest is here. I trust that the network is not going to interfere with tonight's conversation, because this is a special one. I myself am going to benefit from the wealth of knowledge that my beautiful guest is. I'm happy that you made the time, because you're such a busy person. How are you?
This was special, so I had to make the time. I think it's the best way for me to ease into the evening, actually, just to have a conversation with someone that I love.
Yeah, I hope it comes through and it's well received by all the other people that are joining us on the line. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kamo. This is the Redefining Beauty platform. Tonight, I am joined by Amantle Mokubung. I've already told you a little bit about her when I was trying to Google her. Have you tried Googling yourself, love?
I have.
Okay, nice. A lot of wonderful things come up about you, and it's quite a lot. When you read some of the things, and I read your LinkedIn bio, it's like, oh my gosh, how many lifetimes has this one lived in? So I want to give you the opportunity to summarize and to tell us who you are in your own words. Who is Amantle Mokubung?
So Amantle was born. Amantle's Faith's sister. I see my sister, Dr. Faith, is actually on the live.
Okay.
And all my life, I think I've identified as her sister. And yeah, I bring that forward every time. I'm also originally from Mahikeng in the Northwest Province. And then in terms of the work that I do, I was actually chatting to a group of candidates from the Bridges for Music Academy.
Mm-hmm.
They had invited me this afternoon to have a session as a guest lecturer. And one of the things that stood out for me in the lecture was when I told them for my 20s were very experimental. I think I tried everything that I could. I failed at stuff. I dropped out of certain courses. I tried something else. I put myself out there. So I was very adventurous in my 20s. Maybe that's why there's a lot of content that spans over from like the age of probably 22
Yeah.
up until 30 was my busiest time. It was like peak season for me. But what I do in a nutshell, I always tell people that I'm a connector because I
Love
think it
that.
just, yeah, it just defines the work that I do. So as a marketer, you're connecting people to brands, people to people, or brands to other brands. And that has been very, I think, the key thing in my career throughout, ever since I graduated from my undergrad. It's been the key thing that I've done, and also moving into the other things that I do. So I am a marketing strategist by profession. I'm trained in that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've been in the field for just over 11 years. And then I also write on a part-time basis. I'm very passionate about giving advice to small businesses. So I'm actually fortunate to be able to write for a small publication that gives advice to small, or rather, I'd say entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, what I also do is I coach small business owners as well through the Future Females Business School. And I also co-founded a movement with my sister now talking about future females and us trying to localize and do something that speaks to the community back at home in Mahikeng, or rather the Northwest, because I think it's expanding to that. We started a movement called Mahikeng, and it's really about showcasing women that are from the province, that are doing amazing things, in the hope that people will see one another and start reaching out to each other so that we can collaborate and work on projects that can uplift Mahikeng. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We're gonna get to that. I know you're big on passion projects. You're very busy with a lot of other aspects. We are going to get to that. So far, you've told me about what you do. And so far, anyone that has not met you and is on this platform and is part of the community can't say they really know you. All they know is that you are Dr. Mashele's sister. So far, you haven't really introduced yourself.
I am okay. I'm Dr. Mashele's sister. I'm also, I'd say, somebody who's very passionate about the empowerment of women. So, in any space that I find myself in, you'll find me at the forefront, or at least part of that vibe, because that is what I try and do. I'm also an aunt. I'm a very proud aunt to two amazing human beings in this world. I'm a daughter as well to an amazing woman who works really hard. And I think that's where Faith and I, learned all about hard work. We learned all about stretching ourselves even further. And we also learned that it is possible to do more than one thing all at once, and that the work just never stops. And I am very proud to be a daughter to Joyce Mokubung, because she's just an amazing woman. I don't know what else you want to know, but yeah, those are the things that I'm really proud of. I see that there's people speaking my language on here. Yeah.
We're gonna learn that. Dumelang, good evening, everybody. We're still at the introductions. I was just reprimanding my guest because she just dived into the stuff that she does because she's so passionate about that, and that I know about herself. So she didn't really get into who she is. Well, she is a marketing strategist, that I've already said, and she's a contributor to publications, and she's already mentioned her work as a coach. Fantastic. Look, There's this one question I ask every single guest that comes onto this platform. I mean, this platform is the Redefining Beauty movement. So the origin and the birth of this platform is centered around beauty, beauty conversation, challenging beauty stereotypes, interacting with women around their body journeys and their stories around that. So that's redefining beauty in a nutshell. So I always ask this question: what is beauty according to Amantle? What's your definition of beauty?
Beauty, according to me, is really confidence. And I'm taking this from my own personal experience because I don't think a lot has changed about me. I know some people say you look a bit different, but I think it's all stemming from the confidence that I built over the years. So if you had to look at Amantle in high school, I was telling my sister a while ago that I really did not like school. I didn't like school because of how I experienced school. Yeah, and high school was tough because
Okay.
I was teased about my acne. I just had issues about the person that I was and what I looked like. And only when I moved and started doing my undergrad degree, then I decided that I was going to work on something special for me specifically. And the thing that I decided to work on was me starting to write into publications. So there were smaller publications that I was aware of, and I could see that they were not using typical models, or rather models that are, I'd say, under the books, double boss models or Gainer or whatever agencies were out there. And I decided who I was going to write into the publications and see what response I get from that, because I wanted to do a photo shoot. I wanted to see myself differently. And I think we've had the conversation a bit about photo shoots.
Yeah.
I wanted to see myself in a different light. And so what happened was I wrote in, one of the magazines responded. They said to me, look, we can give you a makeover shoot. It was something that you would frown upon on some, do I really want to do a makeover shoot? But I knew what I was going in there for, which I feel is something important as well as you do anything in life. You need to know why you're doing something in the first place so that you don't get distracted. Mama always says, work club, because then you are able to just focus on your path and what it is that you want to achieve. So I wrote in, they agreed, I did the shoot, and one shoot led to the next. I've lost count of how many shoots I've done in the past. And all of that building of confidence and seeing myself behind the scenes and seeing the pictures and getting feedback from people from high school, surprisingly enough, and also feedback from other women that felt, I can see myself in you. You know, we talk about Miss South Africa now and how a lot of young girls see themselves in her. That was the kind of response that I was getting. And for me, the confidence thing is what defines beauty for me, because what else changed? I don't know.
I love
I
that.
don't
I
know.
love that. And the talking about confidence, we can talk all day long. That's like the one subject and topic I could really write a whole book about, because I also
Yeah,
myself believe that beauty is confidence. And
yeah,
when you're confident, you radiate a different kind of beauty. Right.
that's true.
Hey, there's a lot of commentary. I'll get to the comments and the questions a bit much later. Let's just dive a little deeper into this conversation. And with her work at the photo shoot, you're gonna distract me a bit because you're gonna make me talk about our annual photo shoot and the reason behind the Redefining Beauty campaign and how amazing it is, because you've touched on so many things. And as I'm listening to you, like, there's always these things that come out between our interactions that make me like make me become like, wow, who's this girl? And who's this angel that's been placed in my life? Because there's been so many things that make me believe that you're kindred, and you've just come into my life at a very pivotal time. Right. Anyway, let's move away from that. I don't want to talk about the photo shoot. I want to talk about you and hear your views. Let's talk about
Yeah.
feminism. Are you a feminist? Do you refer to yourself as a feminist? And what's your view on the feminism movement?
I think before I even get to whether or not I'm a feminist, and I'm glad that you put in the word movement in there, because we don't want to get distracted or get lost in how feminism is defined now. I mean, social media is a beast, and I feel like everything that is put out there is put out as a movement. We attach movements to everything that we do. And sometimes we don't understand that we're actually dealing with very sensitive issues. We're dealing with things that actually require a one-on-one engagement. We're dealing with things that are bigger than what we see on the surface. I'm a firm believer that not everything, needs a woman type of vibe. Not everything needs a dog. Not everything needs a t-shirt. You know what I mean? And when you look at the poster girl for feminism, which is Chimamanda, and when you listen to her talks, when she talks about feminism, I know she does not like to be the poster girl for that. When you look at that, it's just, if we had to define that before agreeing whether or not one is a feminist, which I am, is that it's just, it's whether or not as a man or a woman, you see a problem about gender today and whether there's something that needs to be fixed. So the fact that the world has evolved so much, but our idea about gender has not really gone too far. And why I say I'm also a feminist is the fact that I grew up in a household, and Faith will attest to this. She's probably laughing wherever she is. My mom will be on some, okay, while I'm waiting you on the phone, when you get off the phone, just please make sure that you go and clean the puppy's room, and it's full of poo. And the boy cousin is there, but we don't see it. We don't talk about it. It's whoever is next in line to do the job. On days that I go home, when I get home, I know that I will find Horkatleho will, he likes cooking. And if he cooks, he cooks. It doesn't mean that I have to do the work. You know what I mean? So it's in these small ways and in small spaces where we start experiencing that, or we start defining whether or not we see a problem with the gender lens or how we see things when it comes to the gender. And also, I think I'm a feminist because I look at so I'm busy working on a research paper, and it's already talking about intersectionality. So as a person on this world, I would be facing certain challenges or be looked at differently based on a couple of things. So intersectionality is the layers on top of the layers on top of the layers. So there's the gender part of things, but also I'm not just a woman, I'm a Black woman. So that is also a challenge that comes on top of it. And also where I'm born or the accent that I have and I carry, does it then move away the need for you to look at my ability and interests instead of gender, And then I'm also probably a woman that's dealing with albinism. So there's so many intersections to this. And I think because I'm exposed to so many research papers around this, there's no way that I could say I'm probably not a feminist. So if we just had to move it away from the dukes, the movement, the social media, the mobilization of people, and all of these things, and just take it as an everyday thing in terms of whether or not we look at, my ability and interest versus gender before we decide where to put someone. So yeah, I would say I am.
So well articulated. I love that. And then now my stance on the feminist movement and me labeling myself a feminist is really about the works. I care not for the label. I care not for labeling myself a feminist, because feminism has been there. Like you just mentioned your mom. Your mom is a feminist. Your mom has been part of the feminist movement before quotations, before dukes, before t-shirts, and before all the things. You know what I'm saying? She's been doing the work of a feminist, because that's what it is. It's about the work. It's about equalizing things. It's about recognizing that we have been at the shorter end of the stick, and now we have to bring about a balance, and we have to be a voice for the voiceless and those that have been previously marginalized, right?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Let's move to the juice. Now I want to talk about some of your passion projects. We can talk about just the top 2 or the top 3. You've briefly mentioned Future Females. You've mentioned Makarebe. Your sister mentioned Project Me. Maybe you can touch on that. But I want you to tell me, in your view, this is 2 questions that you will answer by answering the question and talking about the projects, because I think they're interlinked.
Sure.
What does women empowerment look like to you? You've already spoken about how passionate you are. So what does it look like practically? And then you can run it through some of the projects that you're already doing, your passion projects.
So, women empowerment is just, I think, pulling up another, it sounds so cliche to pull a seat at the table for somebody else or to walk across and actually join their table, but it's actually that. So when I talk about future females, something that's very important to me when I step into any coaching session at Future Females is to make sure that there's an inclusive space for everyone. So it's not about the content that we share, but it's allowing you to bring your whole self. So I work for an organization, which you would know, where we talk about bringing your whole self to work. And it's a big thing for me. And I carry it with me in different spaces because I feel like a woman who feels that they are in an inclusive environment, they're able to thrive because there are no barriers, there's not a lot of sticky or whatever, red tape around stuff. So when I step into every coaching session with the females, we don't normally just talk about female related issues, or I think it's just me being fully present with them and allowing them to do that as well. So when I step in, what I say to them is, I remember with the current cohort, what I said to them when we had an opening call, I said, if we are future females as a business school, and I'm a female, and you ladies in the room are also female, I would have failed myself, I would have failed the school, and I would have failed you if I allow you to miss a session because you had a baby to look after. If you've got a baby that you need to breastfeed during my session in the evening at 7 p.m., bring that baby with you so that you can breastfeed, because you can put your call on, you can put yourself on mute, you can put yourself on video. It's okay, because we can all relate to what is happening in the room. And if it's just us, why is it not okay for you to bring all of you into the room, right? So I would have failed myself if I allow you to miss a session because you had a baby to look after. I've met so many children on these coaching sessions. I check up as to how they're doing from time to time because it's important, right? And that is, I might not carry heavy content with me, but me allowing them to be in that space in that way and me showing up like that, it is empowering and liberating for them to be able to do other things. And so when we talk about future females and the work that I do there on a part-time basis or after hours, it is exactly that, for me to empower women. It is deeper than just the content. It is me pausing and making sure, Sase is in the room and she doesn't look okay today. And I'm able to pause and actually engage with the people to say, we can pause on the module so that by the time, because I know if I am, like Faith says, human-centered, if I know that I'm coming as a human being in the room and I'm giving everybody enough grace, then even if we miss out on the module tonight, which is module 4, the fact that you leaving the room in a different space means that you'll be able to catch up, possibly because that's all the energy that you needed to get through for the next module.
I love that.
And when we go to, and that is what I do through Future Females. So there is content about business, about entrepreneurship, but also I bring that with me when I do deliver these sessions. And then when we talk about empowerment as well, and we're moving into, for example, Makarebe Mahikeng, when we have to talk about that as well, empowerment could be anything, empowerment could look like inspiration as well. The reason why we feature so many women from Mahikeng and say, this is what Kamo does, this is where she grew up, and allowing people to be, I'd say, showcased in that manner from where they're from to where they are right now. It's inspiration enough for a girl who is looking at pushing her, her career forward. That is probably all the work that we need to do. There's so much content that they can Google. I always say to people, can I give you something that you can't Google, because everything else you can look at? You know what I mean?
Come through, man.
So if I can give you some sort of content that is not Googleable for now, it's fine because the rest you can find on Google. I could give a girl from Mabatu High or whichever school they at a lot of points about what to do and how to be empowered. That information is available. People run live sessions. You can get it whenever you want it. But can I give you a sister who grew up in your own hometown who is now doing certain things, because that's enough that you would probably need for that time. Yeah.
Babe, yes, like, man, you making me my brain go into overdrive now. You want me to talk about other things, but I love what you're saying, and I agree with your sister. Had a human-centered leadership, and we always focus on programs when talking about women empowerment. We always focus on programs, content, tangibles. We never focus
Yeah.
on you being just a loving agent, you being a representative of something else that's different. I totally love that human element that you bring, because happy when you're running these sessions and someone is not well emotionally, what are they going to receive? What are they going to learn? But once they've spent that hour with you and you've changed them emotionally, you've helped ease their anxiety, the learning becomes a different thing. You've altered their life. You didn't alter just their education. I love that. I don't want to miss out on any questions. So I'm just going to go through if there's questions or comments, because I saw Lebupule had said something as well. Billionaire DK was saying, oh yes, kids play with all toys, no gender specific. Yeah, love that. Lebuyana was
I
saying,
actually can relate to that because growing up, I used to call, those miniature soldiers.
they have a
Do you
flat
know them?
base. The ones that have a flat
That have,
base.
I think so, yes. But those tiny ones, I think they were green back in when I
Yes,
was, when
yes.
I was I
Summersault.
had Somersault, I had over 100 of them. That's what I played with growing up. I don't remember any of my dolls. There was a guy next door. His name is Fando, and we grew up together. And I used to steal his cars. So yeah, please, girls and boys
Yeah.
can play with
Do you know
anything.
what I'm saying? I think she was referring to feminism and equalizing the gender roles. Lebu was saying, move it away from hashtags. Yes, feminism needs to move away from hashtags and cute slogans. We need to be on the ground doing work like
Yep.
what you're doing, especially Kaya Makharib. I love that. It totally resonates. I mean, these very conversations that I have on Wednesdays are specifically about creating a platform to speak to women who are inspiring, just like you, to expose you to the community and for the community to know, man, there's a lot of people that we can learn from. Every woman has a story to tell. You don't have to be this multi-millionaire. You don't have to be like super famous for us to listen to you or for us to learn a thing or two from you. So this platform came about purely because of that. And I see Billionaire DK is asking about a book. So perhaps you should be writing a book,
I
Amantle.
don't have a book.
Ngaki Links is saying you're such a force. Official seasonator saying, I love it. No book. Well said. Dr. Goulet is saying the human being finally taking center stage, but wellness experts have been pushing it in the street. So true, so true. Dr. Goulet is a wellness expert. The gangster, my gangster, love her so much.
Nice.
She does work where that is beyond just the biological. She does work where we look at someone head to toe. We don't look at she's a wellness scientist, actually, let's put it that way, and she looks at humanity or people at us holistically, from our mental state to our bodies, to what we eat, to how we think, to how we push life. And what she's identifying with you, because she's saying, let's put human beings at the center. Let's put people's emotions at the center. Let's not push programs and agendas just for the sake of it, actually. And she's saying she would abandon her dolls for marbles. Okay, there's no other questions. Kulu is just saying hi. There's no other questions or comments. And Ngaki's question is moving right into my next questions, because she's asking, how does one start such women empowering projects? Hit it. There's a question for you.
A tough question. I am a big fan of Deepak Chopra's work, and if you had to look at the book, he even has pieces of it online. It's the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success.
Mm.
I do know that one of the, I'll just remember what that law is called, but he talks about how, I think it's the law of least effort, where you compare yourself to what's happening in nature. So with flowers, with grass, with anything that happens in nature, and that is why I love nature so much, is that
Mm.
there is no extra effort required for it, for whatever needs to be to be. So if it's grass, they, like, you could leave it for years or for months or for
It'll grow.
days,
Mm.
it'll grow anyway. And I think that is how certain things do evolve. A lot of things in life actually do
Mm.
evolve. I usually say to people, just feel out stuff for yourself. You will know when you need to start something. You will know when it's the right time to move away from a certain space. When Faith and I started Magabane, it was an uncomfortable time, and
Mm-hmm.
luckily she had the energy to drive it so that we can start it. And I think she just felt and knew the time that we needed to break free from, the Future Females brand for that specific project. And I pride myself in saying, move away from it for that specific project, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on maintaining relationships. And that's what I was talking about afternoon. So when you move away, and when we broke away from that, we didn't destroy the relationship. It was purely for that particular project. It's not working for this project. However, this relationship can work. And it still worked, after we established Magabane Mahikeng. It's a baby of Future Females, and that's okay, and that's perfect. We might not be using the title, but we actually do have a relationship in motion that stayed together throughout the time. So I think there is no formula as to how you need to start. Just like we
Mm.
understood and we felt and we saw when it wasn't relevant for us to still use or still be under that banner, we then decided to break away and start something else. So you won't require a lot of bullet points,
Right.
a book that guides you. We're taking step one and step five. You won't need that, but you will just
Mm.
feel it out and start small, see how people are actually reacting to this, get input
Mm.
from other people. But also, in getting input, you also need to be stable about what it is that speaks to you, what is relevant to what you're trying to achieve. Do all the suggestions that Kamo come up with actually match up to what it is that you're trying to achieve? So there is no set formula, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but just start.
I agree. I totally agree. I think the thing that you wanted to speak about, homework at Deepak, you wanted to talk about the principle of following the path of least resistance. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan as well. So, but my advice in terms of starting projects is this: follow your heart. I mean, when we started the Redefining Beauty movement, it centered around me. It centered around my story. It was centered around my journey and my body changes, and having been someone that was small, and now I'm someone that is a little bit bigger, and I saw the
Mm.
need. You see the need. The thing about starting projects is that we look for grandeur. We wait to have 10,000 followers before we think we can start anything. I started alone. My friend Nozipo joined, and before the end of the
Mm.
thing, our first campaign had 30 ladies that joined. But all it takes is you start. You be the one that starts.
Mm.
Figure out a need. Even the movement. I mean, redefining beauty movement for us to move away also from just the photo shoot to conversations to events to self love and self love teachings is because I realized that there's this narrative that is negative, social media and in person, where people think women don't get along, and there's these things. So I figured I will create a platform where women who are like-minded will come, women who are
Mm.
interested in empowering each other, women that are not interested in bad narratives, but women who just want to come into spaces, find friends, find communities, build relationships, and prove to the world that really we can get along. There's nothing that stops us from getting along. So that's why I created the platform. It's just purely as simple as that. There's no two steps, one step, do this, do that, register this company, all of that. Follow the fire that burns within you. I don't know. I thought I lost you there. Oh, there you are.
This is going to be awkward because in my true sense and nature, I was going to try and handle this thing alone. Like I'm always interviewing people.
Okay. No. I'm here, Handy. You know how you and I work. Kindred.
What I liked about what you said as well is talking about the numbers, because I feel like it's a very important thing. I'd rather have 3 people that are actually about the movement versus having 3,000 people that are just there as numbers so that we can sell to brands or we can connect to other people or we can get some sort of buy-in. Rather have 3-4 people. Even when Magabane he can grew as a community, Faith and I were shocked. Every day we'll be like, oh, did you see the numbers? Oh my gosh. Like they kept growing like that. It was such a shocking thing. What is going on? And I think maybe because people resonated with the content over time, but we started very small. We didn't know where it was going. We had a vision, but then it just kept moving. And I love the fact that you also experienced the same, to say, these are the few people that joined in the beginning, but here we are today. And even as far as going into live sessions and other things and other plans that you have for redefining beauty.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about people that are like you and I, people that are passionate about projects, people that are passionate about women empowerment. We are after effect. We're not after numbers. If we've changed one person, if we've made one friend, if we've loved one person, and if we've shown kindness to one woman, our job is done for the day and we are happy.
That's true. And I think I'm also talking about that. I'm also very fortunate to have my 9 to 5 rooted in impact, because that is exactly what we measure. To say, oh, great, we might not have campaigns or fancy things that are put out there, but we actually have dashboards that are like we're looking at how many young people's lives are we changing through this thing? How many people have we pathwayed, That is all that we focused on while we do the work, whether it's bare, whether we don't have systems in place. Like we just build this plane as we're flying it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of things here. I'm sorry if I missed some of your comment. Dr. Kule saying intuitive leadership works, true story. Yeah, intuition first. I mean, we are always driving ourselves from the external, but now we need to be driving everything that we do from inside. We love you. I love you too, babe. Billionaire DK. She's one of the Redefining Beauty ambassadors, just by the way. Passion. Son of Jerry saying, love your work. Love you too, fam. Dr. Kule, absolutely, Amantle. A lot of brilliant ideas die because people doubt that the true validation lies in value and not in popular culture. And that's the messaging we need to be pushing. That's the messaging we need to be reminding people, because people forget, and people are starting to look at numbers and look at all these things that don't really matter. I want us to talk, we are right in line. I want us to talk about brand identities, but I don't even think now we can take it to being technical, because we've sort of spoken about it. But give us the technicality. You're a marketing strategist. How does one place themselves or sees themselves as a brand? And once they've started something, just like what she had asked, a project, how do they now begin to see it as a brand and develop an identity for it?
So first things first, your purpose is important. Why is it that you do the work that you do? Because that is the foundation. When you start working with somebody who's trying to build a brand or trying to find their way around and trying to establish themselves or their name, is that everything that you will start doing or everything that you will put out in the world will start with the root of what it is that you're trying to achieve. So what is your real purpose in life? And I think you've through your questions tonight, you've captured that for me, because everything that I do in the work that I do speaks back to why I do it in the first place. So when you start putting out your ideas, when you start engaging with certain people, you also engage from a place of purpose. Why am I doing this in the first place? So the why, my mentor, one of my mentors, Pride Maunatlala, is very big on, and rather that's her purpose, because she puts it out there as that, to say that her purpose is actually to help people find their why, and that is the center of it all. From there, everything else is Googleable once you decide, Hore, this is where I've set myself, and this is how I want to put myself out in the world. Because once you know your purpose, you would understand why not to reach out to certain brands. You'll understand why certain things don't sit well with you. You'll understand why certain people you can't put in your circle. You will understand why brand A works better than brand B in terms of brand association when it comes to your own brand. So the foundation of it all is the purpose part of it. And then you ask yourself, what is it then that I'm going to, so now based on the purpose, what is it? Bonang always says, what is the one thing that you can bottle and sell to the world? So then you decide on what is the what then? So now that I've found the why, what is the what that I want to put out in the world? And then from there, how am I going to put it out in the world? And then that's when you can start looking for ways as to, okay, now how do I position? How do I start marketing myself? Who do I associate myself with? But that should be your foundation, the how of it, the what is this thing going to be, or rather the purpose, the what it is, and then how am I going to put it out in the world? That would be the foundation of it all.
Love it. Nakia Wood. I don't know if everyone else is really listening now, because Nakia Wood, and I'm taking it for myself. Dr. Faith is saying the why is always bigger. You know, the purpose of thing. I mean, we all know the famous Dr. Miles Monroe and what he says about purpose. And if the purpose of something is not known, it will be misused. I mean, you will be directionless if you don't really have the purpose.
And sometimes it feels like you need to dig and figure out what this thing is. But I've found that in talking to a lot of entrepreneurs over the past couple of months is that it's a matter of going back to the work that you've done and seeing what the thread is there, because you are most likely to find the answers to, oh, snap, is that what I was doing all these years? You know, the reason why we then get to understand our why or our purpose, it's not that there was some rocket science experience that happened. Some of us only figure it out as we're moving along. You're like, oh snap, that's what was happening over the past 10 years. So then how do I sum all of this together? How do I find the golden thread and then see what the purpose was or what it is that I was shifting in the world?
Yeah, it's always amazing how we learn in retrospect. And I'm just reminded of something you said to me that took me 7 years to like to connect the dots, which I was not even seeing, that the whole vision and the whole purpose behind the Redefining Beauty movement or the campaign and the photo shoot is to help people accept themselves. And you make that connect in terms of my purpose as a human being and why I was named Kamo. And I was like,
yeah,
well, let's go. Anyway, Magatando 86 said something very powerful and something that resonates with me. She was saying, we celebrate small wins. Everyone that knows me knows I celebrate even the most minute of things. I celebrate small wins because they build up, and those are the things that you will look at retrospectively and see that for the past 10 years there's this consistent thing that is about you, and that is what builds and becomes your why or your purpose. Kimang Noni is saying, wow, I like that. Build this plane as we fly it. I needed to hear that. The right time is when you start and commit to your vision. Commit to your vision, girl. And Dr. Michelle is saying, connecting the dots backwards. And we never do that. And you also said that to me the other day. Look at what you've been doing. Do a sort of stock take and see what you've done, review what you've done, because renali disease ya o batla ho reinventa dinto. We think
Yeah.
we have the brightest ideas and everything must be new and wow and never been seen before.
Yeah, we want to create something special out of the ordinary. And I was just like, okay, Kamo, this is what you've done incredibly well over the years. Why are you not doing it?
Right? Press on and just excel at that very thing. Yeah, I think I've got one last question for you. We are out of time, or rather,
Sure.
we've got, yeah. I've covered everybody's questions and comments. Official, how do you say this? Says anointed. Brands with
It's
purpose
fast.
always thrive. Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course it'll never die, because if you're in it for impact, I mean, what would stop you? If you know, if your purpose
Yeah.
is your purpose, you will not one day wake up and you're purposeless. That's not going to
Mm.
happen. Anyway,
Mm.
um, good evening, everybody, and those that have joined late. Thank you for joining us. This is the Redefining Beauty Movement. My name is Kamo Magabane, and my beautiful guest this evening is Amantle Mokubung, who's just telling us amazing things. You are going to need to go back to this live to listen to her views on feminism, why it's important, why the work is much more important than the hashtags and the quotes and the t-shirts. And we've just had this wonderful conversation around women empowerment and what it truly means and what it is. And now it's again, I want to believe that we must also move away from wanting to other people's definitions to things. I mean, women empowerment is Amantle doing mahari the amahike. Women empowerment is you acknowledging women and being there and being a friend. Women empowerment is making a friend, is connecting people. That's women empowerment. We just like to see it as grandeur and big things and maybe marching and all of that. But it really is not. We need to simplify these things such that it becomes everyday lived experiences.
And we need to allow people the space to define it in their own terms. And also don't feel entitled to have explanations as to why people don't move in the same direction that you do. I was having a conversation about how a lot of people will ask you, I mean, when you would also know, Kam, I mean, you've been in the space where you're mobilizing people and you're doing amazing things. You would also know that it could start as a campaign. It's something big, right? Because you've got this vision. And then life will stop you in your tracks and be on some, okay, great. So you are starting a Senate, not that there's anything wrong with it, and I just want to put out this disclaimer. You'll be a man, and then you decide, I'm going to start a sanitary wear drive, right? Great. It's amazing. It's huge. And then you go home. You in Gauteng, you're starting all this. You go home to Mahikeng. And somebody in your neighborhood says to you, "Oh, Samantle, ha ke na di-pads for this month." Life will stop you and you'll pause and you'll wonder, should I perhaps pause the drive thing and then focus on making sure that this girl gets sanitary wear every month with the little that I have until she gets her first job.
Right.
So it's okay. You know, sometimes that's life will stop you and be on some busy campaigns and then there'll be someone right next to you to ask you that kind of question. So what then do you do? Do you then, are you then gonna judge me for not starting a sanitary wear drive because I'm Kamo and I'm so vocal on social media? Are you gonna stop me or judge me for not picking up 3 extra boxes good this came at the till? But you don't know my why as to why I'm not starting the sanitary wear drive in the first place. Are you going to judge me for not holding up my fist on social media and talking about GBV or certain things because you don't even know, possibly the reason why I'm not talking about it is because I haven't healed and I've experienced it. Maybe I have been abused and you don't know about it and you don't need to know about it. And maybe that's why I'm silent about it. Maybe I'm silent also because I'm wondering, do I mobilize 100 women about this topic, or do I stop and go and look in my family and talk to my aunts about a cousin
Ooh.
that I know being abused in there? You know what I mean?
Hey.
Which, like, can we just allow ourselves and allow other people to be?
Amantle, you are touching me in my studio.
Ask
you know what? Why are you bringing all of this up? Because we've run out of time. Why are
I
you
am
doing this
sorry.
to me?
I'm sorry.
Usa. Okay. Man, I'm not even going to comment because we're talking deep into a conversation that we are not going to start. But I am going to ask you that we need to do a part 2, and perhaps the part 2 will be in person. In April, I will be officially launching the movement because we need to take these conversations offline. You know, we're too vocal on social media. We're too much of
We
activists.
are.
We're too much of activists on social media, but we're not on the ground. We're not.
Like let's not even talk about your neighborhood. Go talk to your
Yes,
family because we know there is a problem in a certain
yes.
family.
That's what I'm
Like,
talking about.
if you can't face them, how are you going to face me or another province about an issue that you don't even know? So that's why I always say not everything needs to be a movement because we're dealing with such sensitive issues.
Mm-hmm. I hear you, I feel you, I'm connecting with you, I am with you. Like, we are here. I totally resonate, and that's what I feel. So we'll take it offline, but we will be launching. We're gonna be having every month. We're gonna be having a series of hookup sessions where we like now, because I find that conversations on social media are so fake and fickle, and we don't really become honest in the
Yeah.
conversations that we even have. But when we are in person, there's an authenticity that comes through. The
Mm.
phone screen and the touch and being keyboard warriors is a barrier.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm going to be launching these monthly sessions, and I'd love for us to expand on this conversation, but I will schedule it accordingly, because this is important. This
Mm.
conversation is very important
It
to me.
is. I'm very passionate about that part. And I know my sister always says, talks about putting on your own mask before you help other people. But also, do we realize that even in putting on your own mask, right, to go
Mm-hmm.
before you can help others, so you save yourself first, right? And then you go
Mm-hmm.
and save the next person. But the chances are, if you're sitting in flight, you're going to help the person that's next to you. That's why I say it's important that you start with the one that's here before ulo go bua le nna ko front opposite tla o solve mogalona. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
I do
anyway,
understand, and vele ke yone ntho ya ba too much of activists and too vocal
yeah.
feminism, because we want to take campaigns to the provinces. Mara, your neighborhood, like your
Yeah.
neighbor, the circle of friends that you have, you're not even beefing up those relationships, yet you're a feminist and you preach about women empowerment, but your circle of friends is breaking and you haven't been the one that patches and fixes things. We need to be
Yeah.
having this conversation. I
Yep.
see a lot of commentary, but I've run out of time. Guys, please forgive me for getting all passionate and heated. This conversation touches me in places it probably shouldn't touch me in public, but I am very passionate about these things. I'm very passionate about the next person, the next lady that you meet. So yeah, Amantle is a realist. Oh yeah, and that is why I love her. We are done. We are done with this conversation. Our time is run up. But everybody, thank you for joining the conversation. Like I said, my name is Kamo. I do these conversations every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. where I talk to inspirational women like Amantle, because I truly believe that every woman has a story to tell. So every person that I invite on this platform could be a friend, could be a celebrity, could be, someone that's slaying in their industry. But my point with this is that as women, we can learn something from each other, and our stories are valid. There is no story that's not useless. But of course, because I'm a little bit selfish, I enjoy talking to other women, and that is why this platform exists. But I'm going to leave it with just my last question to you before we end it. What is your one message to women?
I think I will be a rebel and say, what is my one message to humans instead of women? Because I believe we receive all sorts of inspiration and
Yeah.
motivation every day as females. So my one thing to humans is to be more, I mean, we are living in a time where we challenged as humans already by what's happening around us. The world is no longer the same, and we are struggling to engage on a more human level. So I remember interviewing Allegro Dinkwanyane a few weeks ago, and what one thing that she said was that we need to give ourselves grace. And I said to her as well, in return, we need to give each other grace. Allow me to be human so that I can also accommodate you so that you're more human. So this is a time where we need to be gentle with one another as human beings. We need to be more present with one another because that's all we have. And I think the planet or God or the universe, whichever way in which you want to define that, we're being challenged to be more human at this point in time. So I'd say give each other grace, be more human, and go out there and just find ways of embracing the next human being. So yeah, that's all.
No, singayivala lapho le nkonzo. No, sivale lapho singavuli inyuvesi, I'm not even going to summarize anything. Be gracious to yourself, be gracious, afford others the grace. Let's just be human. Let's go back to being human. That's all. Makule is saying, be present with each other. So
My
powerful. I
friend
also think
one.
so. Honey, thank you for this conversation. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being an awesome human being that you are. We're going to definitely have this conversation again. I see Billionaire DK is busy saying next week, please, next week, please.
Next week, Bravo, I think I'll be here. I'm joking. If someone else, I'm here. I'm back.
Let's talk about it, and then we will see if we will do the take two or not. But anyway, thank you so much to everyone that has joined and then stayed on the line. I appreciate your presence, your comments, and the love that you're showing to the movement. Please follow us. Please, we do have a Facebook group as well. For those that are on Facebook, come join the conversation, come be part of the community. There's a lot of things that are coming up. Like I said, we are having a launch in April, and we're going to be launching what I call Self-Love Sundays, where we just hook up and we show each other love, and we're just human, and we have these conversations that are amazing, and we go and slay afterwards, because the world is rough. If there's anything that we do not need to do, is to be fighting as women, because the world out there is already fighting us on all other levels. So all we can do is just be here, create sisterhood, love each other, be gracious to each other, all of the nice things. Anyway, honey, I love you. Thank you, everyone. God
Good
bless.
night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.